Hello everybody and welcome back to Factorio. Let's continue on building our giant base. The first thing I'm going to do is kind of tweak the science setup because I did notice last time that the ratio is a bit off. I don't need this many assembly machines on red, so I'm just going to get rid of a couple of those. 5 to 6 is a good ratio. It takes 6 seconds, or the crafting time for green science is 6 seconds, or 6 units. The crafting time for red science is 5, so 5 to 6, or 6 to 5, or whatever, you know what I'm saying. That's the ratio, that's what I'm going for. I could expand it up to get a lot more speed on there, like, you know, like 10 reds and 12 greens, but that's really not necessary. I'll just stick to this. I think it's good for now. But I'm gonna put some research on tool belt and start making some storage tanks, because now I'm about to start planning the oil section. But first, I do want to get some other things being crafted. I'm going to bring down a line of copper plates and steel right here so that I can make medium electric poles, big electric poles, and some armor-piercing rounds so I can start stockpiling lots of ammo, because we're going to be going hunting some biters soon, or at some point, because there's a nest at the southwest that is getting kind of angry with us, and they've been paying us visits lately. So we need to take those guys out pretty soon. The butter evolution is only about 11% right now, so we don't really have much to fear. I don't think the next tier of biters shows up till 35%, 40, 50, I don't remember. Spitters will show up at about 35%, I think, and then we can get medium biters at 40 to 50%. I checked it and then I forgot, so yeah, but somewhere around there. And obviously we're still really low. We're only gonna see small biters at this point, and really the only thing that poses a threat to us is the worms when we go at their bases. So armor piercing rounds will help a lot with those guys. Fucking rocks. Rocks too. Hate rocks. Kill all the rocks. So we got the line with the copper and the steel going, making some poles for us, and stockpiling lots of ammo. We're gonna go through a lot of ammo. So we're gonna need that as soon as possible. Plus, copper and steel aren't really being used for much, if anything at all, at this point. So it's good to just get that going. And I'm gonna just tweak some of the power poles around the base. I want it to look nice, and I also want it to be, well, nice and even and symmetrical, but that's not always possible. And right here is where I'm going to put the oil research facility, which is going to be rather large because I'm going to have to refine all of the products that the refineries are making into different liquids, and then transform those into something else, into more products. So kind of got a lot of planning ahead of me. I'm trying to figure out where I'm going to put the liquid bus, because I am going to have all of the liquids on a bus themselves, which I haven't done before. So this is a bit of a new thing for me. I'm actually deciding to put them cornered right here, which are just going to connect up to some storage tanks for each one, or a few of them anyway, not all of them. These storage tanks are for petroleum gas, heavy oil, and light oil. And I figured out a nice little way to connect them all in. And then the outside line is going to be water. I'm going to have to pump that in from the lake nearby, but I don't need water right away. So I'm going to put some refineries down now, and man, those tanks sound all sloshy when you're next to them. I don't know why. They're empty. They shouldn't have any noises, right? So I need to get power over here. I'm not sure how I'm going to route the power for the refinery section yet, so I'm just going to have to do something that works. Just turn these into mediums and run those up the side. That's fine. And then I can do that. I think I changed it later, but it works for now. So I only have regular oil processing right now, which isn't the most efficient. I need advanced oil processing to get the real deal, which requires water and oil for the 2 inputs. That's why they have 2 inputs on the refineries. So I'm already planning ahead and getting the water line connected up for those. And now it's time to connect each of the outputs onto the bus, the liquid bus. Which I've gotten kind of the hang of organizing pipes and stuff. Like I said, the first couple times I set up oil refineries, it was just a complete mess, an utter mess, just a whole waste of space. It didn't make any sense whatsoever. But now I think I know enough about the oil process to get something actually coherent. So we've got the outputs hooked up, and now I need to clear out these trees because I need all of this space. And I've got the storage tanks hooked up. I figured I would run a pathway over this way, but I'm actually going to make that smaller because I do need one space above that top pipe for pipe to grounds if I need to bring water up into some sort of factory for something, which is definitely going to happen at one point or another because water is used for things. But I have a oil patch right conveniently nearby, and have some biters. I'm gonna restock these turrets because I know they're seeing a lot of action. Gotta get some power over here to the oil pump. There we go. And I'm just gonna run this straight over. And I'm not gonna have a storage tank for crude oil, at least not yet. If I do, it's gonna be where those copper miners are, but the copper mines are kind of in the way right now. It doesn't really, I don't know. I don't really need storage for crude oil, really. So clearing more space because I've got a lot of different stuff that needs to be done with the oil products. Definitely put some turrets up by that pump because those things produce a lot of pollution and biters like to attack your oil pumps. So I'm just kind of spacing things out over here, looking at where the liquid bus is, seeing how many spaces I want to leave between it and the next part of the process. And first off, I'm going to set up a little processing station for heavy oil, which I want to do in two different ways. I'm checking here for the advanced oil processing stuff, which I can't do oil cracking yet. I need advanced oil processing for that, but I can set up the lube factories. The heavy oil is going to be changed into lubricants, which is used for a few different recipes, like electric engines and express belts. But I'm also going to use heavy oil to crack into light oil. So I'm setting that up on the right side, and I'm trying to work out a way to split it so that I can use logistics systems with small pumps, which I have not done before, but it's something that I want to try to do so that I can, if I'm running low on lubricant, I can switch the heavy oil over to produce more of it. And if the lubricant levels are looking good, then I'll turn on the light oil cracking instead. So here we go. I'm setting up the heavy oil cracking, running a water line in. I don't know if the water line is on the right side. It might not be, but once I learn how to do the cracking, once I get advanced oil processing, then I'll just diddle with the pipes to make it work correctly. And right now I'm kind of having trouble getting the power lines where I want them because I can't make them look nice and neat yet. I'm still kind of brainstorming what this whole area is supposed to look like. I just disconnect the other ones for now because I don't need the heavy oil being wasted, being run into those pipes. And there's no need for the heavy oil to continue on the bus to the left, so at this point I'm just going to turn it into a lubricant line. And the same sort of deal will happen with the light oil, which I have already planned a spot for the light oil to run into the bus once it's been cracked from the heavy oil right there. But now it's time to go to the next part of the oil processing facility, and that is the light oil processing, which is going to be a lot similar, which is going to be pretty similar to the heavy oil area, except really the only thing we can do with the light oil is crack it into petroleum gas or turn it into solid fuel. And I'm going to need solid fuel for my rocket ship, but really it isn't really needed very much for normal production of everyday items. And I'm thinking ahead to end game here, and I think I'm going to want to set up a completely separate factory just for making rocket parts and launching rockets out of silos. So I might not even do any solid fuel production here, but just in case I want to, I'm going to set it up anyway. So The trickiest part about dealing with liquids is the pipes and making sure that they don't connect to each other, because if you cross the lines, then liquids get where they're not supposed to go, and it's kind of annoying. So leaving spaces where they need to be and planning out pipe to grounds and all this is kind of new for me, but like I said, I'm getting the hang of it. And I'm trying to make the bus look nice, so I'm not like completely spacing out the pipe to grounds to their maximum 10 spaces sometimes, just to make sure they're all clustered together and look cool, because I like to look cool. I like the things that I make to look cool. So I've got light oil cracking on the right hand side of this new area here, and I'm setting up the water input again. I don't know if it's on the correct side. I'm hoping that it's on the top input, but if it's not, again, I'm just gonna have to deal with it. Solid fuel will be produced here on the left side if I need to be doing that, but like I said, I may very well just not do that at all. And we're coming dangerously close to this giant patch of copper ore, which is blatantly right in the way of my freaking factory. I don't know what the hell I'm gonna do about it. It's gonna take a long time to mine all that out. A long time. So I really just don't know what to do with it. I might just have to jog my factory around it, or turn 90 degrees and go south. I just don't know. I have barely enough space to accomplish everything I need to with this refinery. The next section I'm trying to set up is the sulfur section, or the sulfuric acid production, which I need to make sulfur first and then use the sulfur to create the acid. And the acid's going to be useful for making batteries as well as processing units. And that's pretty much all I need it for. There might be a couple other recipes, but those are the two big ones. And at some point it dawns on me that I don't really want to do this here, because, well, I'm gonna look up at the factory and realize that I'm just about at the left-hand side of the science facility, which is right where I'm gonna start to need plastics for advanced circuits. And, well, I also need sulfuric acid for batteries, so I don't know. We're really cutting it close here. And I also decided to make the pathways in this area only 2 units wide, just in the interest of saving space. It works out fine, though. Sulfur takes petroleum gas and water, so I kind of have to base that out a little bit more in order to route both of them down, because they're next to each other on the bus. And you have to do this little 3-pronged dealio to continue the liquid bus and pipe off what you need at the same time. And the water is also used for the sulfuric acid, so I'm using quite a bit of water in this liquid processing plant that I've got going on. The whole oil facility, I'm calling it. And I can't believe I'm still setting this thing up. I thought I was gonna... Oh, no, I know what happens. Yeah, I do set this sulfuric acid part up. And then I was gonna set up another storage area for the lubricant and the sulfuric acid after this. But then I realized that, hey, the space up here needs plastic right now. And also sulfuric acid, so I'm gonna finish off putting these pathways all the way to the left, and I've got to extend these buses. I was gonna put the plastic on the line right below the coal, as well as send it up all the way to the advanced circuit factory, which is I'll probably be working on in the next episode. And now I do need to pull in some water, so I want to put it right where that belt is running, so I'm gonna have to move this belt down 1 space. And that's completely fine because it's a temporary belt. I might pump in the copper another different route or whatever, and eventually when all the nearby resources are dry and I need to get them from train, that'll all be coming in from the south end of the base. I can't wait. That'll be fun when we get to set up trains and stuff. I do need to go get some stone at some point. We have like no stone coming in. We only have a small patch of stone with only a few miners on it, so we definitely need to increase our stone input, especially once we get concrete researched. But I do have enough pathway for now. I'm hardly gonna have enough stone to make some steel furnaces though, and I might need to be upgrading to those at some point soon in the near future. I'm just gonna wait until I notice that the smelting speed is too slow. I know that steel furnaces are technically twice as efficient on coal uses, but we have a lot of coal nearby, so it's not a big problem. I'm using a small patch at the south end for power. I've got a big patch that I'm barely tapped into to the east of my foundry. So coal is good, and there's that giant one to the west of here that's also kind of blocking where I'm trying to build my factory. It's really a bummer. It's putting a huge hitch in my plan. This fucking patch of resources that's right in the way. That wasn't there on my last world because I had different world generation settings, and these ores were just plain not there. So I'm bringing the iron down. I'm doing it on only one side of the belt for sulfur making. I need the iron for the sulfur, and I'm just gonna put the sulfur onto the same belt for the acid. And voila, we've got some acid being made. So now we've got all of our products being created except for plastic. And I do need to set up a storage facility for those two. I would like to put it on the right, but I've kind of just replaced heavy light oil on the liquid bus with sulfuric acid and lubricant, so it's kind of hard to double back through that way. Although I could do it like right where the coal line is. That is a possibility. That is a possibility. I could certainly do that. But it might be a little bit messy, because there's only 2 spaces between the path and the coal. Ah, well. I was planning on doing it right here on the left side, so I'm gonna start trying to set up some storage tanks for lube and acid over here. And then I kind of realized partway through doing it that I really need to be making plastic right now. But it's also possible to make plastic on the same bus, or I mean in the same area as the circuits, so that I'm just making them directly for the circuits. But I do need plastic for a couple of different things. Mostly just cannon shells and rocket parts, so it's really not a big deal. Maybe, I don't know, I'll look into it, because that would save me some space. And that also raises the question of just doing acid on the spot for the batteries. But I kind of just I'm a little bit torn right now about having dedicated lines for both of them and then not having dedicated. I've already got the dedicated line sort of set up already, so I'll just stick with it for now. It's not a big deal. We don't have that much more to go in this base anyway. I mean, it kind of seems like there is a whole lot more to do, but I'm thinking about it, and well, once we set up advanced circuits and batteries, those are the 2 next intermediate products that we need to get going for the rest of the technology, pretty much. Once we have those, then we can go on to make processing units and have a module section, and then we can also make a weapons factory to create all the delicious types of weapons and ammunitions like landmines, explosives, rockets, and cannon shells for tanks. And capsules, combat robotics, will get some of that done. And I also need to get a robotics section done so I can get some roboports around the base and start doing the logistics, which I have never done before. And yeah, here we go. I got the plastic set up already. That didn't take long. You just bring the coal down and send the plastic up. And I think I'm just gonna send the plastic directly up, and it's a little bit left of where I need it for the advanced circuit factory, but I'll figure it out. I could send it a little bit to the right, like just jog it to the right and up into the factory. That's really no problem. And I'll probably end up just putting the advanced circuits on their own bus. Probably where this pathway is, just below the science research. I'll probably just turn that pathway into the next bus for red circuits, blue circuits, and batteries, and possibly something else. But I have things written down and planned out right now, or sort of. And that's really the only things that I can think of. I can also put plastic on that bus, but I think plastic would work better next to coal because they're going to be used together in the weapons factory. And past the weapons factory, I don't need to use the coal or the plastic for anything else. So they'll just sort of end there. And that means I could bring the liquids in a little bit closer, but we'll see. I kind of like having to plan this all out, and I'm still figuring it out as I go. As you can tell, I've got the circuits through green science kind of down. a little bit. So I already knew what I was doing there. But now is with the point where I'm really starting to think things through pretty heavily and figure things out. And we're coming to the end of the episode here, and I'm just kind of planning out where I want the red circuits to be made. So I'm just kind of planning out the positioning for that. And there we go. Next time we'll focus on getting some red circuits and blue science. And until then, I'll see you later, guys.